Hi guys and gals, Amy here, and today is all about using up backgrounds. So I don't know if you guys are like me, but I have this box that formerly identified as a chocolate box from Christmas, and it holds a ton of backgrounds. So sometimes I just want to try a new technique that I saw, and I end up with this box of tons of backgrounds. So if you guys are like me, then maybe you have a lot of them that you could do something with as well. So stick around with me to the end. At the end I will show you a bunch of finished cards that I made with these panels, but right here I'm just kind of going through picking out some that I think will look good because I want to emboss them with embossing folders. So these first several panels that I've pulled are all made with alcohol inks. Some are on poster board, and then that stripy one is on actual photo paper on the back of it. This is just like a background stamp, and I'm just kind of, flipping through and trying to decide what ones will look good. I'm like, ooh, this, hand-painted metallic, that'll look pretty with some texture. And I have all these handmade florals that I think would look really cool, but I decided not to use those today. So I'm just flipping through, pulling them out, and I'm gonna try a bunch of my 3D embossing folders, guys. I'm obsessed. I keep playing with them. They're so fun to me lately. So do you guys do that? Do you get stuck in like an obsession with some element of your craft room? That's where I'm at right now. It's embossing folders. So some of these panels are stenciled with, gel press or shimmer powders and kind of like monoprint and just regular ink blending and all sorts of goodness. So any of the panels that you see with stencils, those are from A Colorful Life Designs. And I do have a coupon code with them. So if you do shop for any stencils there, be sure to use my coupon code AmyFan10 and you will save 10% on your complete order. So I will link that in the video description box below the video, as well as any other applicable products and also technique vids. So I might be able to link some vids showing how I made some of these panels. So basically what I did is I just spritzed the back of the panel with some water. It's an optional step just to kind of help the paper really take the shape of the embossing folder. And I'm just running it through my Spellbinders Platinum 6. And you can see in a moment here, it just gives some wowza texture. So you have this beautiful stenciled background, and then you just totally kick it up a notch with this texture from the embossing folder. So here you can see I'm struggling. I'm trying to get out. This is my favorite stitched rectangle die. On the next panel, I decided I want to cut it down. So after I got done fighting with it to get out the one that I needed, I ran it through with some temporary tape here and cut it down a little bit and gave it that nice finished edge. So the reason I did that prior to the embossing folder is if I did the embossing and then ran it through to cut the edges off, then I would mush down all that pretty embossing I just did. So if you're going to do die cutting and embossing through a folder, then do the die cutting first. So that way you don't lose the detail of the impression from the embossing folder. So here you can see I'm adding a metal shim and then ultimately some extra, it's not cardboard, but extra cardstock shims just to get adequate pressure, because that particular embossing folder from Tailored Expressions, it wasn't 3D, so it wasn't quite as thick. And you'll see I use another one where I have to do a similar sort of sandwich. So just use whatever sandwich your embossing folder or your embossing machine calls for, and you'll kind of get a feel for the right sort of pressure. Now this embossing, or not embossing, this panel with alcohol ink was actually done on some cheapy poster board from the dollar store. So I do have videos about how I do these alcohol ink panels, so I will link that below. But it has some alloys, and that's what that pretty shimmer is, and it's just gorgeous when you add that extra dimension. So this is a little cheapy embossing folder. I think it's from Joann maybe, but I was really winging it here. I had no idea if this was going to work, but I thought, well, that's kind of cool, it's got a built-in sentiment, so we'll try it. So I just used a panel that was just a background stamp, with that buffalo plaid on it, and I thought that was so cool. I was looking at it because I see it did crack through a little bit. This was a very inexpensive cardstock, so you know, spraying it or using a little bit of a thicker cardstock, you might not have that cracking, but honestly, you couldn't even see the cracking, so I wasn't too worried about it. Now this is the back side of photo paper. So I don't own Yupo paper, but this is kind of a similar, cheaper equivalent, and it was synthetic, so I didn't spray it with water because I knew it wouldn't do anything. This one is on watercolor paper, so I will spray the back of that one just because it is, you know, hefty and kind of a thick paper. But first I wanted to die cut it into some hearts. So these are stitched heart dies from Catherine Pooler, and I kind of have an idea of what I wanted, and I was okay with the edge being cut off, the small one, because I knew I was going to kind of, you know, build that into the design on the card. But I'm just spritzing the back, and then I decide to use 2 different embossing folders for these 2 different hearts. So I have a couple 3D embossing folders from Alta New, and these are some of my absolute favorite lately, but I just think that is so pretty, and you can really see it when the light hits it. It's just that pretty metallic watercolor, and it just gives it just so much extra. So I'm running the second one through a different one, so I thought it'd be cool to have the 2 hearts together on the card, but with a different pattern on the watercolor paper itself. So just kind of preparing all this stuff, and then what I'm going to do off screen is put it all together, and now I'm showing you the finished cards. So I took another stencil. This is the Simple Grid stencil, and just did a very light gray ink blending right on the card base of 110 pound cardstock, and I attached those hearts. Now this one I took the blending foam, like on a Ranger little wooden handle thing, and just gently brushed across some residual black ink on there, just on the raised bits, and it really helped the thank you pop out. I apologize for the lighting here. The sun decided to come out and was blasting through my window when I was recording. But this one, wowza, this one was so pretty. With that alloy, I thought that matched the gold die cut. And that's Planks stencil. This one was really neat too. There's so much texture in the design itself, and then just to have that raised element from the embossing folder. So I really just kind of went through and shopped my sentiment book for a lot of these. This is a beautiful floral stamp and die that I have from Concord and Ninth, and I have these Spanish sentiment strips. And then this one I really cut down in size and turned it on an angle and paired it with that cute little, I don't know if he's sad or mad or whatever he is, but he's not having it today. So I hope you enjoy these cards today. I hope it gives you some inspiration to use up those backgrounds you've been amassing. So I will link the products that I can in the video description box below. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. And I really appreciate you watching. I'll check you next time. Bye.